Hey, buckle up because I need to get this off my chest. I never thought I'd be that guy, writing some long-ass post about my wife cheating on me. But here we are. To set the stage, my wife, let's call her Lisa, and I have been married for 12 years. She's beautiful, smart, the whole package, or so I thought. She works in PR, which means she's constantly traveling for business trips. I never questioned it before because, trust. Or maybe I was just naive. Things started to feel off a few months back. Lisa had become distant, less interested in me, more glued to her phone. She had always been a bit, let's say bitchy in that charming way that made her irresistible. But lately, she was bitchy without the charm. The sex had pretty much disappeared too. I chalked it up to stress from work, but deep down, something felt wrong. The tipping point came when my buddy Steve called me out of nowhere. He was on a business trip in another city, and as fate would have it, Lisa was supposedly on a business trip in the same city. Steve knows her well, we've been friends for years, so when he told me he saw her walking into a hotel with some random dude, my stomach dropped. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. He wasn't joking. He sent me a photo. There she was, holding hands with some guy I didn't recognize, looking all too cozy. So, I'm sitting there at my desk, staring at the photo Steve sent, and everything in me just goes numb. My mind's racing, trying to come up with some explanation. Maybe it's work-related, right? But no, they're walking into a freaking hotel. What kind of business requires a bed and no clothes? I tried to play it cool for the rest of the day, but honestly, I was losing my mind. I didn't confront Lisa right away. Instead, I did what any paranoid, pissed-off husband would do. I hired a private detective. I know, it sounds dramatic, but at that point, I needed to be sure. If she was screwing around on me, I wanted proof. A week later, the detective handed me the motherlode. Photos, texts, emails, the works. Apparently, Lisa had been seeing this guy, let's call him Mark, for months. He's married too, which just made the whole thing even more messed up. And when I say seeing, I mean full-on affair. They'd been sneaking off on her so-called business trips, renting hotels, and hooking up like it was some college fling. The detective even gave me Mark's contact info. I don't know what I was more pissed about, Lisa's betrayal or the fact that this random dude was somehow now a part of my life. Either way, I had a plan. I wasn't just going to confront Lisa and let her spin her web of lies. Oh no, that would be too easy. I was going to take this one step further. I reached out to Mark, pretending like I had business to discuss, and arranged to meet him. If he thought he was just going to keep cheating on his wife and screwing mine, he was about to get a rude awakening. And that's when things really started to get interesting. I met up with Mark at some generic coffee shop, and let me tell you, this guy had no clue what was coming. He showed up all smiles, probably thinking this was just a casual work meeting or whatever. I played along at first, made some small talk about business, then I dropped the bomb. "I know about you and Lisa," I said, leaning in. His face went white, like all the blood just drained out of him. He stammered something about not knowing what I was talking about, but I wasn't in the mood for games. Cut the crap. I've got photos, texts, emails. I know everything. And if you don't help me set her up, I'll make sure your wife finds out everything, too. Oh, and let's not forget about your job. You think a guy like you can survive a scandal like this?" He sat there, completely frozen, probably weighing his options. But he knew I wasn't bluffing. I had enough dirt on both him and Lisa to blow up both of their lives. Finally, he cracked. All right, he muttered. "What do you want me to do?" And just like that, I had him in the palm of my hand. The plan was simple. He'd keep seeing Lisa, but this time, he'd make sure I knew every little detail. The goal? Push her to lie, manipulate, and cover her tracks even harder. I wanted her to squirm, to dig her own grave while thinking she was outsmarting me. So, that's what we did. Mark played along, and I started baiting Lisa. I'd ask her about her trips, subtly hinting that I was suspicious, and each time, she lied right to my face. Her stories got more and more elaborate, as if she was daring me to catch her in the act. Meanwhile, Mark kept feeding me information. Every time they met, I knew about it. Hell, I even knew the time she was texting him, making excuses to me about working late or being too tired to come home. I was setting her up, piece by piece, and she had no idea. But I wasn't just going to confront her with the truth. No, I wanted her to think she had everything under control, until I pulled the rug out from under her. And that moment was coming soon. Alright, so here's where things get real juicy. After playing the long game, I knew it was time to pull the trigger on the big reveal. I wasn't just going to confront Lisa with words. That was too easy. I needed her to feel the weight of her lies and infidelity. And what better way to do that than with an audience? I told Mark to set up one last romantic date with Lisa at the hotel, the same place they'd been sneaking off to for months. The plan was simple. They'd get into their usual routine, and then I'd walk in at just the right moment. But here's the kicker, I wasn't coming alone. I invited her parents. Yep, you heard that right. Under the pretext of planning a surprise for their darling daughter, I convinced them to come with me. Her folks thought I was setting up some sweet anniversary surprise. Little did they know, the surprise was going to be something they'd never forget. My parents tagged along too. It was a full-on family affair. So, there we were, standing outside the hotel room door, me holding the key, her parents looking all excited, and my parents just quietly following along. I was ready. I unlocked the door and swung it open, and there they were, Lisa and Mark, right in the middle of the action, completely naked, just starting to have sex. The room went dead silent. Lisa froze, and Mark practically jumped out of the bed. You could hear a pin drop as everyone stood there, staring at the two of them in utter shock. Lisa's parents were the first to react. Her mom let out this horrified gasp, like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her dad. He just stood there, speechless, his face pale as a ghost. My parents weren't much different. They were all just stunned. And Lisa, she nearly fell over from the sheer humiliation. Her face went from shock to terror to shame in about 5 seconds flat. I made sure to capture every moment on video, just in case she ever tried to spin this as something else later. But honestly, I didn't need to say anything. The look on her face said it all. She knew I'd been onto her the whole time, and now, in front of everyone, her parents, my parents, her perfect little facade was shattered. Her parents had always seen her as their perfect, exemplary daughter, the one who could do no wrong. I'm sure they never imagined they'd be standing in a hotel room watching her cheat on her husband. The silence was deafening, and for the first time in her life, Lisa had no lies to cover up the truth. I didn't need to scream or throw things. Just standing there with that group of people, letting her feel the weight of her shame, was enough. And as she tried to stammer out some pathetic excuse, I just calmly turned to her parents and said, "This is who your daughter really is." I walked out after that, leaving her standing there naked and exposed, with her lover scrambling to put his clothes back on, and her parents still frozen in disbelief. That was the moment I knew I had won. After that unforgettable scene, I knew there was no going back for Lisa. I left her in that hotel room with the shattered pieces of her fake life, and I didn't look back. The next few days were a whirlwind. Lisa, of course, tried to call me, text me, even email me, but I wasn't having any of it. What was she going to say? That it was all a misunderstanding? Please. Her parents? Oh, they weren't much better. They called me too, desperately trying to make sense of what they had witnessed. Her mom was in tears, babbling about how she had no idea Lisa was capable of something like this. Her dad. He didn't say much, but I could hear the disappointment in his voice. They wanted to talk, to meet up, to try and fix things. But what was there to fix? Their perfect daughter had been caught red-handed, and now they had to face the reality of who she really was. As for my parents, they were surprisingly calm about the whole thing, almost like they had seen it coming before I did. My mom just kept telling me I deserved better, and my dad said nothing, just nodded in silent agreement. I didn't drag it out. I made my decision pretty quickly. Divorce. There was no point in pretending this marriage was salvageable. Lisa had spent months, maybe even years, betraying me, lying to my face, and acting like I was some clueless idiot. She had made her bed, literally, and now she had to lie in it. Alone. I filed the papers the next day. I didn't need to hear any more excuses, any more fake apologies. I had already seen everything I needed to see. And honestly, it felt good. Freeing, even. There was no more second-guessing, no more paranoia. The truth was out, and I had taken control of the situation in a way she never expected. The fallout was exactly what I hoped it would be. Mark. Well, His wife found out soon enough, and she didn't waste any time kicking him to the curb. Lisa's reputation, both with her family and at work, was in the gutter. And me? I walked away with my dignity intact and my head held high. In the end, I realized something important. It wasn't just about revenge, though I won't lie, it felt damn good to turn the tables on her. It was about reclaiming my own life. For too long, I had let Lisa and her lies control me, but now? Now I was free. Free from her manipulations, free from the constant doubt, free from a marriage that had been built on lies. If there's one piece of advice I can give anyone going through something similar, it's this: trust your instincts, and don't be afraid to take back control. You deserve better, and sometimes, the best way to move forward is to let go of what's been holding you back. I've already signed the divorce papers, and I'm moving on. Lisa. Well, she'll have to live with the consequences of her actions. And as for me, I'm just glad I finally saw her for who she really was, even if it took some extreme measures to get there. Preview. Teamed up with her lover to humiliate her. Right in front of her parents. I teamed up with my wife's lover to plan the perfect revenge. While they were in the middle of having sex at a hotel, I walked in with both her parents and mine, filming the entire scene. I made a deal with my wife's lover, and when they were screwing at the hotel like they always did, I stormed in with her parents and mine, camera rolling. She didn't even have time to cover up before the truth hit her like a truck. Her perfect little life shattered right there in front of everyone. The look on her face when she realized her parents saw it all? Priceless. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.